Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play Cast, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, aka Magicman, and this is episode 301. We're recording on May 16th. You're watching it on the 17th or later, and we've got financials, but will it ever go anywhere? And then a first look review that we posted this past week. So chock full of coverage. Let's introduce the host and get right to it, Mr. Jason Winter. I'm not going to ask, how are you, sir?
Good. No. But do you see what's different about me? See anything?
I see your chair. It's
There
sexy.
you go. New chair. Yeah. Fancy gamer chair. Got the headrest. Got the lumbar support for my terrible aching back.
Is that a racer, or is that
No,
one of
actually,
the other racer competitors?
It was the other racer competitor. It's an OP seat. Someone
Ah,
suggested it to me on Twitter, and they had a sale like a couple weeks ago. So.
Very nice, very nice. Also on the line, without a chair with lumbar support and neck support, Mr. Troy Blackburn. How are you, sir?
Nerds. I'm surrounded by nerds.
You know, this chair leans like almost all the way back. I can lay flat on it.
Yeah, mine too. Mine is racer. So we've got competing products here, but I got my.
My girlfriend has a racer, and it doesn't go back that far. So you get the special. You get the lazy variety.
Shit, almost fell over. Now it's straight up and down. That's not going to work. All right, there we go.
On squeaks. I have a squeaky chair.
Here's Squeaks. We've heard it on...
That's the feature.
Yes, we've heard it on many a free-to-play cast. It is a feature. All right, let's get started. Slide over with the news. All right, what do we got? Well, we got financials. Jason's favorite time of the quarter. So now the damn chair is all screwed up. There we go.
That was my plan all along.
And just as they come in, usually every quarter, we kind of see NCSoft and Nexon compete to see who can get theirs out on the same damn day. And it usually happens at about the same time. So we're going to go through them. We're going to start off first. Let's start with NCSoft. I mean, they're the ones that have been in the news lately with the whole City of Heroes stuff. By the way, Troy, we didn't get a chance to talk to you about that because it was the 300th anniversary show and we were doing something else last show. Where do you stand on all this, the City of Heroes stuff going? Because I know you were a City of Heroes fan.
Yeah, it was never like my main MMO, but I definitely enjoyed it back in the day. I would be excited if we can get one that's not at risk of being shut down at any moment. I think that would be fantastic. Even if it's, stuck in limbo at some point in development, I would still enjoy getting on and playing it every now and then just for nostalgia's sake, if nothing else.
So you have no intention of getting on any of these rogue servers that are all spinning up all over the place right now? You're kind of in Jason's boat where I'd like to, but I don't want to put time in something that could be gone tomorrow, so I'm going to wait to see how this all shakes out.
Yeah, because I'm not going to jump in and play as if, this is going to be the MMO I play forever, no matter, even if it is official, because even at that point, it could still go away. But these are all, coming and going, overnight at this point, and I would just rather not right now.
Fair enough. So speaking of NCSoft, their financials for Q1 2019, probably not what they would have hoped for, huh, Jason?
Everything is terrible.
It's all burning down.
Mostly just Lineage is terrible, which has been their stalwart for years now. It's been their big seller, been making a lot of money over in Korea because it's shut down over here in the States. But yeah, it's it was down to about half of what it was the previous quarter. Its lowest quarterly total since I've been tracking this stuff since 2005.
So it is quite possibly the worst quarter Lineage has ever had. Mm-hmm. At least, I mean, in the last 14 years, and it's 19 years old, 20 years old? Something like that. So quite possibly the worst quarter Lineage has ever had. Where the hell did that come from? What happened? That is a huge loss without any real news story behind it.
Lineage 1 weakened 47% quarter over quarter as item promotions were reduced in preparation for Lineage Remaster service, which sounds like we just didn't do much this quarter, but next quarter we're doing the remaster or whatever. It's going to be awesome. So they didn't do a whole lot of promotions this quarter, I guess.
Not looking so good. Well, the flip side of that, Troy, was that their mobile side didn't really do well either. And that's been, the driver for most of these companies over the last few years was sliding into the mobile space, a huge driver for NCSoft. And that kind of took a tumble in Q1 as well.
And you look at games like the Lineage mobile game and sort of the monetization controversies that come out with that, and we're going to talk later about some of the legal bills being introduced here and there around the world. But the player base, if you want to see an end to those type of monetization issues that happen on the mobile constantly, the player base is going to have to be the ones to react. And it looks like maybe finally, at least for one quarter, I guess, the player base is slowly saying, you know what, enough. We're tired of seeing these types of half attempted games with all these monetization schemes that are out to get us, which is essentially what they are. They're out to get you.
I would love to agree with your silver lining there, but the players are banding together, but Jason, I kind of just have to attribute it more towards they didn't have any real big mobile releases. They're getting ready for a huge update to Lineage M that they're hoping will push that back over the top. I think, as much as I hate to say it, it's just slow quarter is slow quarter. I would love to agree with you, Troy, but I can't go with you. Jason, where do you fall on this one?
I tend to agree with you there. Just how it is when a new game comes out, it's big and it's huge, and it's kind of steadily dropping down, and maybe they'll.
And it's Q1, it's after the holidays, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So maybe it'll balance out a little, or even out, even get a little bigger, like you said, when they get the Lineage M update or whatever. But just it's a bit of a slow quarter for that.
Across the board, otherwise, though, it was pretty par for the course. I mean, a little up, a little down for an individual game. Ion, a little bit down. Blade and Soul, a little bit down. Lineage 2, a little bit up. That whole deal. Even Guild Wars 2, a little bit up, which I was kind of stunned to see that one. I really didn't expect a lot of flux with Blade and Soul and Ion and Lineage 2 and things like that. Lineage and mobile games certainly surprised me. That was a pretty substantial swing, particularly for Lineage. Mobile was down. Lineage got crushed compared to what it's done over the previous 3 quarters. Guild Wars 2, I expected to be down, gang. I mean, we had the layoffs. We've had not some good announcements as far as, if you're a player, as far as things are going to be a little slower to release, content updates, a little now, to be fair, they did. We praised ArenaNet for a lot, too, on the flip side of that bad news, for being honest about it first off, but then also doing some retention things, some getting new players back type things, with a number of different promotions and events going on. And while I thought all that stuff was great and heaped praise on ArenaNet, I did ultimately expect them to be down. What I think, though, Jason, is this was, if you look at Q1, when the financial stuff, I mean, the layoffs and stuff would have been right at the tail end. I mean, it would have been towards the closing weeks of Q1. Does that mean we expect Q2 would be the more downturn swing? Or is this just, hey, Guild Wars is doing its thing. It just wasn't making enough money to sustain the staff that it had, but there's no reason that it's not going to continue to make the same amount of money that it's made.
They've only really had significant changes to their income around expansions. Getting
Right.
getting a nice buff around expansions.
Par for the course.
Yeah, and then it comes down rather considerably afterward. About two quarters or so afterwards, which is why I'm even more surprised that they're not doing an expansion this year. So I thought that would be the perfect thing for them to, especially get back on their feet.
Right.
Maybe they'll be able to hook into that a little more, because supposedly a lot of the layoffs were people working on a different project, like a different game or something, and now those people are going to come back to Guild Wars 2. So in theory, they got a little more development power on that. So maybe they'll be able to actually do an expansion next year, or based on when they're doing stuff. I guess it might be late next year, or maybe even early 2 years from now, based on if they get to another 5 or 6 chapters of Living Story, which they're going to do before they do that. So yeah. I mean, I've wondered if they can actually have the endurance to hold out that long. And the fact they are up a little bit, even if it's not really that significant, is maybe a good sign for that. Just a question now of whether people will be okay with, because the last expansion is, I'll get to that in a bit. The last update has had some good and it's had some bad. So we'll see how that actually impacts things going down the road.
I mean, while we're talking about that, let's stay on the Guild Wars 2, because I have seen, again, not as a huge Guild Wars 2 player myself, I kind of scour the internet and get feedback and watch what's going on. And I've seen pretty much straight down the middle 50-50 split on some of the latest content. So you mentioned it. I'll start with you, and then we'll get Troy your take on it.
Yeah, we did a preview last week. I got the actual on the server before it went live. New update. Went through some story stuff. Went through the new zone, which looks amazing because it's going to be like a big meta event. For people who played in Heart of Thorns, it's going to be like one of those maps like Dragon Stand when you fought the last Elder Dragon, for the final time. They've got a meta event like that, big map-wide thing. They also, and then talking about the story itself, I've been down on the story quite a bit. I think it's just been a little overwrought, overdrawn. But I thought, apart from one little thing, which I still won't mention, the spoiler on it lifted, but I'm still not going to mention it. There's something at the beginning I wasn't a fan of. But overall, I thought the story did really well and had a great conclusion to this story arc. And yeah, that is what I'm seeing online. A lot of people are just in love with how that turned out. The part they don't like so much is the new mount, the Sky Scale, which is apparently time-gated, rather heavily time-gated. So it's not something you can get through. I haven't looked into myself. I don't know how long it would take. But just the fact that you can't get it just by playing the game and getting through all the achievements and so on just as quickly as you want is really rubbing some people the wrong way, especially ones who don't have the ability to play every day. I saw one guy on Reddit saying, I can only play on Saturdays, so it's going to take me 3 months to get this mount. It's not like, yeah, that's something they're not. And apparently there's like a time gate within the time gate or something. I don't even freaking know. I don't. People I know who are there's one particular streamer, in fact, I follow, whose wife actually used to work for ArenaNet. He is an unabashed Guild Wars 2 fanboy, and I never hear him say anything. He plays everything. He loves every game. I've heard him speak out badly against this. So that's when you know it's bad, when you've lost him.
Troy?
I think with the preview expansion, I think the Living World seasons started strong story-wise, and then they definitely started taking a snoozer kind of right in the middle there. I lost interest for a while. I would log in and get the free update so I could go back and play them when I had time. There for a while, I didn't feel that need to play them in the moment, right? I was just like, I'll pick it up, and then when I get some free time, I'll come back and play them. So the story lost me a little bit. The new mount, obviously, like look at the Griffin. It was a long, drawn out process to get it, but you could do it at your own speed, and it helped bring players together. Well, you take away the time gating and stuff, and there was always groups, man, to go get that flying mount, and it brought players together and gave them something else to do together as a group, and it was exciting and it was fun. It was long, but it's something that you could do, and you felt like you were advancing along the way. So, the story lost its luster a little bit as things went on, and the new mount, it probably isn't. I mean, there was enough controversy with just the PvP mount, right? Like, I don't want to go PvP to get this mount. But, I was surprised when I got the show notes today. That's the first thing I did. I went and looked at Guild Wars 2, because like you said, with all the layoffs and stuff, and to see them up just a little bit when I was expecting them to be, oh my God, how bad is this going to be when I look at this? Yeah. So at least there's that, and maybe a little more positivity and hope for the future for the players.
Well, and again, the one thing that I kind of was alluding to there, Jason, is we're looking at revenues, not profits.
Sure.
And so that's what I kind of talked about, why I said, well, maybe it's not surprising to see the revenue stream staying the same. It's just we need to increase the profit margin on that revenue stream that led to the layoffs, not that the game wasn't making money in and of itself. So here's my take on it. Like you said, they kind of have to. You feel like they're in a position where they have to do an expansion relatively soon, in the next year or so. And while I certainly agree with you there, you could make the argument that looking at Ion has been in the 16,000 million won department for quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter now. That's where Guild Wars 2 is. It's outperforming Ion now, has been for a few quarters in a row here. Is the pressure on at ArenaNet to push Guild Wars 2 into an expansion or anything like that, given that Ion doesn't seem to be under that type of pressure and they make less? Or am we introducing that whole East versus West bias that some people perceive NCSoft to have? I don't know.
But look at the quarters when Guild Wars 2 has put out an expansion.
They're
like
big.
30 in the 30s and so forth, as opposed to like 15, 16. So yeah, you think to yourself, now if they'd had an expansion this year, if they could have gotten one out, would they Would that have been enough money to deal with the layoffs? Or to not have the layoffs? I don't know. I don't know where all that money goes, but yeah, I just feel like, but you're right that you brought that up. That of course now they've cut their salaries by about a third, so that'll save quite a bit of money and make the profit margin better, even if revenues stay flat. So maybe they know this now and at least are deciding they don't need to rush any sort of expansion now.
Right. They still got to be looking at the other side of it, though, that if development can't stay consistent with what they previously had, will the revenue then stay consistent? If it's taking longer to pump things out, are the people that have been paying a couple dollars here and there going to be sticking around? I mean, there's so much that goes into it. We're just going to have to watch.
They did get into that in my interview and said that this was an exceptional case. It's been 5 months since the last update.
Yeah.
So it has been an exceptional case. They've often been a little longer around holiday breaks. It's taken a little longer. And then, of course, the other stuff, the layoffs affected that as well. So, but I was told that they are not going to plan to have it be that long, like in between events or chapters within a season anymore.
On the flip side of the financial spectrum, a company looking to sell itself did exactly what it needs to do at the exact time it's selling itself, and that is produce a huge quarter. Jason, Nexon did very, very well on the eve, so to speak, of trying to sell itself.
Sure, those books aren't cooked at all. But yeah, for like the second quarter in a row, they're like, we had a record-breaking quarter, driven by strong performances in China and Korea. So yeah, they were up like everywhere. Money. If you look at what is this? Let's see. This is the China-Korea highlights. Last year, it was in billions of won, or yen rather, because it's Japan. They had 17 billion yen in China and Korea in Q4 2018. 57 billion in Q1. So yeah, you got to wonder if interesting. Although last year's Q1 was really huge too, it was 60 billion. So maybe they talk about it being like a Lunar New Year update. Lunar New Year is a big deal over in China. It's so big. I think I might have even written an article about it here. I think I tweeted about it. I was like, Lunar New Year is something I didn't know existed like 5 years ago. But all the games, even the Western games, are doing it now. Just as a chance to have additional, partially because a lot of them are getting into China and want to be there, so they do that as well, I suppose. But yeah, it's just all over the place now. And it's a big deal, apparently.
Maple Story up 69% in Korea.
Nice.
Maple Story. Not Maple Story 2. Maple Story.
When I first read that, I was like, oh, Maple Story 2 is doing well. I was like, when that first came out, over here, all my friends were playing it. And then I read again, I was like, wait a minute.
No.
The first one?
That's Maple Story, the original. Mobile playing a huge part with Nexon, with a bit of a bigger mobile portfolio than NCSoft. And they're planning to push that into the West with a few titles. Troy, you going to be hooking up your cell phone there to play some Nexon mobile games?
Oh, yeah, because mobile games are so fantastic.
Hey, man,
can't
you
wait.
got one directed by the guy behind Nier Automata, one of my favorite games.
I have this giant computer rig with multiple screens and thousands of dollars worth of components. Sure, I'll bust out the phone. No, I'm not that guy. I don't play. I play mobile. I play board games on my phone. That is it.
But there's a new one with dinosaurs.
Oh, and I'm sure that those dinosaurs will only cost me a mere $1.99 per day to be able to feed them a second time.
I gotta say that I was a little stunned going through the article for this one in the proofreading and the getting the show notes ready and all that stuff. I'm gonna actually quote here. Because this is Jason Winter, by the way, writing this. Quote, that last one is a survival MMORPG with dinosaurs on mobile that actually looks sort of neat. Jason heaping praise onto a mobile game. Well, I mean, heaping as much as Jason heaps.
That's about right, yeah.
Sinnoh Alice, described as a fairy tale themed smartphone game directed by the man behind the Nier series of games. So, kind of got a little bit of everything there. So, who bought them, Jason? Final bids were due May 15th. That was yesterday. Who's Nexon's new mommy and or daddy?
Nobody yet, because they're still asking for too much money. People are trying to drive. Even Tencent doesn't want to pay for them. Even Tencent doesn't think they're worth whatever, the $10 billion or whatever.
Record-breaking quarters, though. Back-to-back record-breaking quarters.
Because of course, when MMOs have big quarters, they always keep doing that forever, right?
Exactly. All right, so speaking of financials and where some of that money's coming from, Troy already tipped it a little earlier, talking about where these microtransactions and things like that on the mobile front in particular rake in the cash, and maybe that might not be the case. We've talked about this before with Chris Lee, representative in Hawaii, trying to bring legislation to the United States. We saw all the Belgium stuff go on, and some of the other European countries do their things as far as classifying these microtransactions and loot boxes in particular as gambling. We're going to watch EA fight it out in Belgium courts to see if it actually is gambling. We've got Valve being sued by reservation for infringing on their casino rights by selling loot boxes in the state of Washington. So it's all heating up until this moment, the moment we all knew was coming. It's now here. Kind of. United States Senator Josh Hawley, Republican from Missouri, introduced legislation targeting microtransactions in games, particularly those geared toward minors. So this isn't the outright loot box legislation that some of us have predicted will be coming. This is a little more targeted, Jason.
Maybe now that I actually have the stuff in front of me, like I'm gonna, because as it turns out, I wrote in the original article. I'm gonna update the article when we're off here. It says I wrote that he today, and this was on May 8th, today introduced legislation targeting microtransactions in games. Now that I'm actually on his website, I see that it says the headline says, Senator Hawley to introduce legislation banning manipulative game features aimed at children. So he hasn't introduced it yet. It's not an actual bill yet, but he definitely plans to. And it says here, Senator Hawley's legislation would apply new consumer protections to games played by minors, including games targeted to those under the age of 18, and games with wider audiences whose developers knowingly allow minor players to engage in microtransactions.
And that's where I say that this is a little bit different than outright loot boxes gambling, should it be regulated type legislation. This is more geared towards the marketing of those types of materials to minors specifically, not the abusive general practice of loot boxes taking advantage of people with gambling compulsions or addictive personalities or things like that. It's a little more targeted than just going after the loot box. Maybe.
Because you read the rest of his stuff, and he mentions talking about basically banning loot boxes, prohibit. So I don't know if the actual bill that he produces will actually be regarded to minors, or if he's just saying, think of the children. If that's how he's trying to get it by. So
does this? I think, Jason, that we can't count this as fulfilling your prediction yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. But you still have 7 months for this to go somewhere. To fulfill your prediction that something would happen on this front. And Troy, I think we all know that Star Wars Battlefront 2 gets the blame. I mean, right? I mean, that's where all of it started.
It's the Kindle that started the fire for sure. Make us all mad, and this is what you get. I think the fear. I'm not a game developer, but I still have this fear that once the government starts getting involved, at some point they're going to overstep.
Oh, of course.
And get a little crazy with it. But game developers, we've tried to tell you, we've tried to warn you, we've balked against this stuff very verbally on the internet. So now here we go. I don't know this is going to be the one. Now it's going to take something like Save the Children to get the first one to really get out there and become a thing.
Yeah.
But
that's where our government always starts with everything.
Yeah.
It's for the children. It's for the children. Yeah. It's definitely something, and Jason, you and I have had this conversation on the show and off the show, and likened it in some respects to the establishment of the ESRB, where it was self-regulate or else. Mm-hmm. Troy, I'm with you. I almost hope that it leads to the point of what happened with the ASRB. Look, we got it, guys. We'll fix it. We'll stop. Don't come near us. I hope that's kind of where it goes, but there is so much. Like the ESRB was not threatening millions and millions of dollars in sheer revenue like legislation against a lockbox or a loot box of any type would. I think there's going to be a lot more resistance to this from the game companies than there was to, all right, we'll fucking put an M on it. You know? So I think this is going to lead to legislation at some point. We've all known it was coming for years, and now the ball is rolling. So, Jason, do you still stand by your 2019 predictions piece? Will something in the United States happen on the legality front of microtransactions, loot boxes, etc.?
Yes, I do. I'm still sticking with it. And it could be like I said, it could be actual laws that go through, or it could be the industry finally figuring out, okay, we'll do something, or we'll put in our own restrictions or whatever.
Troy, are you with him, or are you more, nope, this is going to be fought over the battleground of the next 3-4 years still?
Yeah, I think things move too slow in those regards. I don't think this is the year that anything actually happens. I think this is a step forward, probably, even though I don't think anything will come of it. I think this is a step forward. The For the Children thing is going to get way more attention, but I don't think this is the year anything goes into effect.
Jason, I want to be with you on this. I really do, but I got to be with Troy, I think. I got to be with Troy. I do
Honestly,
think it's
I agree
coming.
with you too, but I got to stick by my prediction.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Before we head over to the weekly bombs and everything, we posted a first look video this week. Somebody posted, say, great job or congrats on the 300th episode. And they said, hey, we need more first looks. We need more games. Yeah, I mean, there are sites that do a first look every other day, and we can certainly do that if you want, but I don't think you really want to watch a video on Slot Machine Mania on Wednesday, and then Pachinko Spectacular on Friday.
How about my Dinosaur mobile game?
Yeah, or Dinosaur mobile game. What I am going to do, though, there are a couple of, older games, and we've done this before. We just did one with Albion Online because Zach got really into it, so we did an updated first look. And I've always liked doing the updated ones. I think we've done, half a dozen or so over the course of the last few years. I've kind of jumped into one or two older free-to-play games just to mess around and see if they catch me, if I stick around a little longer. So there may be one or two of those first looks coming, those update ones. But as far as brand new spanking first looks, we did post one this week. Troy Blackburn, you did it. It was for KurtzPel, the anime action game. What'd you think? This is by Cog Games, the company behind Elsword. So if you're familiar with that title, same company. Troy, I gotta say, I watched the first look, and I was pleasantly surprised by how much this did kind of endear itself on you to a certain extent.
To an extent, yeah. And if you're a fan of, and this is going to be a weird comparison, and don't get this blown out of proportion, but if Dauntless, Hunter,
thank God you said it, because I thought the same thing.
Because I didn't walk into this knowing what to expect. I had no idea what this game was, so I was just like, let's just jump in, play it, see what it is, and just find out. And I didn't go back and try to look it up at all until after I'd played it a little bit to try to see, am I missing anything while I'm playing? So you it's a lobby-based game. You jump in, you can partner up after you hit very early on in the game. It opens up 2-player parties, and you're going in and you're fighting a boss, and that's what it is. And it's going to be repetitive in that way, where you're lobby boss fight it, lobby boss fight it. There is PvP in the game if you want to break that up, but from the PvE aspect, it's all lobby boss. So at first I was like, well, this is a little weird. And then as I was getting into the gameplay, I was like, you know what? Actually, the action combat's really smooth. The combos feel nice. I'm not typically a fan of anime art style at all, but I'm walking into, especially the dragon fight that I feature in the video, and you need to go take a look at it. I walked into that fight and I was like, holy crap, that dragon actually looks freaking awesome. So repetitive and grindy, yes, I think that's probably to be expected. I don't think anybody's shocked by that, but gorgeous, fluid, and fun at the same time. At least when you're first playing it, yes, definitely so.
There's already changes coming to this one too, Jason, and we've kind of watched their Steam reviews. And they're still mixed right now. Where it'll go, I don't know. But we've kind of watched them creep up and up and up as the developers talked about very honestly and candidly what their players thought of certain aspects. And I'm going to use the word classes. I know it's not called that. Troy, what's it called?
Karmas, and I ended up just saying classes in the video as well, just because it's easier to understand.
Yeah, like one or two of them were locked initially, and you had to buy them, and this, and then so they're taking, seems like taking a lot of feedback to heart, and introducing some big changes in the realm of we can't do this instantly because it's ingrained in the programming. So we are going to do this. It's going to take a few months to do this, and outside of early access, but it seems like they are listening to, and if you're all for the grindy Monster Hunter type experience, great. You don't have a problem with the biggest flaw that most people are going to see with this game. Same thing with Dauntless. If you hated that repetitive stuff, then this just isn't the game for you. Mm-hmm. If you like that type of game, I think, Jason, you got to take heart a little bit in, hey, it looks like COG's trying to follow the right path here. Let's see if they execute it.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, I had no idea that the Steam reviews are actually doing that well. Because when I looked at it a while, like 2 or 3 days after it came out, it was in the mostly negative, which was it was at like 37% or something.
Right. I remember off the top of my head, I thought it was like 35, 36%. Now they're up to like 55%.
55. Yeah, I looked at it right now. I'm like, wow, they really are reacting pretty well. They said that the reason for it was because they had it originally designed as a buy-to-play game, and so. I don't quite get how that works. It was going to be
wouldn't you have thought it'd be the other way then?
So
there would be too much that was free.
Take them out. It's like,
yeah, if we decided to be buy to play and that was the problem, I think the problem now would be too much was free, not that other stuff wasn't. Or you had a terrible buy to play model planned.
I'm gonna go on a rant right now. I'm gonna say they're just kind of terrible in general with their marketing and their promotion because, like you said, I had no idea this was basically anime Dauntless. I wrote a story about it. I wrote their game page. I had no idea that's what it was about. And look, and granted, the guys at Phoenix Labs have done a great job promoting Dauntless, telling people what it's about and so forth. So they've had blogs and so forth for years now. And you knew exactly what that game was about.
Well, to be fair, all Dauntless really had to do was pay for some ads that were like, hey, do you like Monster Hunter but not like spending $60?
Sure, whatever.
This is us.
So, then this thing I had no clue in. I don't know. That's just bad. It looks cool, and if I was into monster hunting, if I was into that sort of thing, I might try it. Although the one thing that would drive me nuts, like Troy pointed out in his video, was that the monsters don't have collision. And being in the middle of them, not knowing what's going to hit whatever, that's a pretty big negative to me. Like if you're going to base your game around basically monster hunting, you got to do a good job with it. That has to be the core, and that is what you have to nail absolutely. Dauntless does that really well. This does it okay, but I think that's kind of a flaw to it. But if you're into that and want to see want those boob and butt sliders, go for it.
It's got boob and butt sliders for days, ladies and gentlemen.
Both genders too.
Yeah, exactly.
Both genders too.
If you want to see some butt twerking,
yeah, they got male and female.
Check out the video.
They got male and female in the game. Both genders have your butt and breast sliders, so have fun. One of them was like called perkiness, wasn't it?
No, that was just Troy's.
Yeah, the butt, it was literally like tight.
Oh, that's what it was, yeah.
It's like,
what is going on here? All right, so Troy, you got to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. What are you doing?
Oh man, if you're into games like Dauntless and Monster Hunter, it's going to be a thumbs up for you. If you're looking for an MMO, that's just not what this is.
Jason?
I'm going to give it a thumbs down. I would rather play Dauntless, and I don't even really want to play Dauntless.
I'm going to give it teetering towards the thumbs up here. I like games like Monster Hunter. I like games like Dauntless. I think this looks pretty. The combos are fun, even if you're whatever. I'm bad at them, but they're a lot of fun to pull off. Visually, it is pretty spectacular, even if you're not generally a fan of anime style, which I'm not in most cases, but it endeared itself to me. And Troy, in the first look, it sounded like the art style did the same to you. You were like, I'm not a huge anime guy, but I love this.
It
is very pretty.
It is very pretty. I think my thumb would go up more if there was more to the progression system right now. It is kind of, you do these things over and over and over and over again, but it didn't feel as rewarding as doing those things over and over and over and over again in Dauntless, as it does in Dauntless yet.
Progression was very, very dry.
Yeah, I think as they flesh that out a little more, there might be something there. But keep an eye on it. And if you haven't checked it out and you think it might be your thing, check out our first look video, available on the site and on YouTube right now. And on that note, let's slide over to the weekly bombs. Jason, you're up first.
Well, we kind of spoiled it already. We already went through it, but da bomb and a bomb to ArenaNet. Da bomb for the good parts of the story and of the new zone, and a bomb to that grind I'm not looking forward to when I get to that point for the Sky Scale.
Fair enough. Mr. Blackburn.
It's not free to play, but I'm going to give a tenuous bomb to the PTR changes for World of Warcraft right now. It looks like some things are being addressed that should have been addressed a year ago, back when the whole expansion was in beta, maybe, but I don't know. We'll see. Things are looking okay.
World of Warcraft's PTR just made your weekly bomb on a free-to-play cast.
That's what I'm playing, bro.
World of Warcraft.
There's addiction classes for that.
World of Warcraft Classic, the biggest thing that's going to prove that people really don't want what they say they want.
I said this a long time ago that there was more people for those rogue servers that were always out. There were more people who wanted to play World of Warcraft for free than actually cared about Classic WoW.
I am going to jump in when they launch in August, right? It's like end of August, 27th or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to jump in for a little bit just for the nostalgia kick, but I don't even think I'll jump into it as often as I jump into Final Fantasy XI still, which is every 3 or 4 months I jump in for a month and a half, play it like crazy, and then jump back out. I don't even think World of Warcraft Classic is going to be that for me, but I'll be there on day 3. I don't even care enough to do day 1 or 2 and deal with the fiasco that's going to be.
See, that's the thought. Are they also going to have the servers from day 1? Is it going to be really shitty and not able to get in anytime?
Yeah, I'll try on.
Just like it used to be.
Just like it was. Wasn't it great?
Yep. I'll try on day 2 or 3. I'm going to give a dub-bomb to Aura Kingdom, because this is a free-to-play show, and that's a free-to-play game. So I'm going to give a dub-bomb to Aura Kingdom. I'm not really sure why I decided to jump in. This was kind of one of what I was talking about earlier. One of the games I was like, I'll give that a whirl again and see what happens. And, obviously it is as cookie-cutter, tab target, quest hubbing, theme park, MMO, RPG as it gets, but I'm enjoying it, so I gotta give it a dub. Maybe we'll do a updated first look if I get far enough in it, past all the newbie stuff, but I'm enjoying it, and I kind of like that art style. It's very reminiscent of, it's kind of like a mix of some things. I see some Phantasy Star Online in it, I see some Skies of Arcadia from the Dreamcast in certain drawings and things, so I'm digging it. Dub.
Back in 2013, Area Games actually flew me out there to look at that, and so I did a nice article on it there. And I was also kind of liked it, and even played it a little bit when I got home. So yeah.
From the viewers, now I should put a disclaimer here first. A lot of viewers put in various congratulatory or very complimentary things about the free-to-play cast and MMO Bomb and 300 episodes and all that. I did not put a ton of those in here. If somebody's comment had that in it when they were talking about something else, they may have made the show notes. I would love to have taken everybody's and put it in there. I'm just one of those, I feel weird. Like, I'd rather put somebody disagreeing with us in the show notes than to sit there and read off things that are very, hey, way to go us. But they are very appreciated. Thank you so much. As we talked about on that show, it wouldn't be possible without any of you watching it. So thank you to those of you that congratulated us or were very kind in your words, and I wasn't able to put them in the show's notes here. So from the viewers, Rickshaw says, great work, everyone, on holding ground in an extremely tough medium. Nice job to all and everyone who helped with the site's amazing approach of news and interviews for free-to-play games in all forms. You've been maintained number 1 in my daily top 4 game sites. I look into every day to find news. Thank you. Question: can we have more first look game videos, please? Thanks again. Cheers. I think we already talked about this. Yes, Troy loves doing them. Jason likes doing them. I like doing them. They're fun to do, but we struggle with that. Nobody's going to want to watch an 8-minute video on what is essentially a browser ripoff of Game of Thrones. This is dumb. We kind of want that balance between, yes, we'd like to put out a video every single day for you. That would be amazing. but we also want to make sure that we maintain a higher quality of video than some other sites too. So it's a delicate balancing act. Go watch KurtzPel. You got a new one this week. Go ahead, Jason.
Guessly says, happy 300. Ben, yours is episode 25 or so even longer than me, actually. My first was like 64 or something. Love that story about laptop. I'd love to get off my porch inside joke meme. All of Mike's WildStar copies. Troy and Bless Online. Honestly, there were countless fun moments in the cast. Thank you for your work. Did not make a top 12 list myself, but guessed a few games in the top 12. I wonder how many times RuneScape was mentioned. It's fairly popular all the time.
I can't believe none of us had that on the list.
You know, if you give me a minute, or if you go to the next bomb, I will look up on my chart here.
All right, get us a count. I mean, it had to be below what, 7, because that's what tied for 10th. I think was 7.
12 was 10.
Oh, okay.
11, something like that. Yeah.
Go ahead, Troy. Take the next one while he's looking that up.
Sergey Cherkasov. Yes, please. Ragnarok Online without pay to win. Love you. When I heard that name, my memory went boom.
Yeah, so we asked Troy viewers the question on when we were talking about City of Heroes, what game from year past needs a private server spun up right now? And like 2 weeks later, somebody chimed in with Ragnarok, and we all were like, oh shit, yeah, that is one that probably needs there's got to be one. I mean, there has to be a secret Ragnarok online server somewhere. Ragnarok Online. The follow-up was so disappointing. You got the stat, Jason, or are you still digging?
7 is how many times we got RuneScape on here. And I believe separately, because now that I think of it, that could also include like mentions of Chronicle RuneScape Legends or something like that. So, but 7 is the number I have.
Strikers X31 says, Dub-Bomb for 300 episodes, try for 400. A-Bomb for no 300 references in the 300th episode. I feel like we did miss an opportunity there, gang, to go back and beat an old meme to death.
It is sunny outside, but I'm podcasting in the shade.
Zing. Go ahead, Jason.
Michael Loisel says, my favorite moment was when Mike and Zach argued about SWTOR and Mike ends up smoking on the podcast.
Oh, you had me so angry that episode. I was like, what are you talking about, Zach? You're not even making sense. Go ahead, Troy.
Kinetic Fetus, one of my all-time favorite moments on this show, can be summed up in 3 words. Dude, eat something.
Do you guys remember that one?
Yes, I do.
Dude, eat something.
Eat something. Jason's reaction to somebody talking about them fasting. And, like, Jason, it's not that simple.
It wasn't even fasting, I think. It wasn't like a religious fast or something.
No,
like
it wasn't religious. It was like an exercise thing.
Okay.
An exercise cleansing fast or something like that. And you were like, dude, eat something. We're like, Jason, that would be counter to the point of what he's telling you he's trying to do.
But it's a health thing. You can't just cut. You don't just cut calories. You gotta balance it out and stuff. Nutrients and
that was a good one. Yeah. Question of the week last week. Time to check in with what free-to-play games you're eagerly awaiting or watching so that we know what to cover for you. Guessley says, about that answer, I'm waiting Bless Unleashed so I can see Mike's first look on that game. As far as I can remember, he said he will do a first look even if it's on Xbox. That is PlayStation 4, right? Yeah, PS4. And I'm gonna do that on PlayStation 4. So yeah, it's wrong system, but yes, I will be doing it. That one, I had a chance to do it, I think a week or two ago when there was some limited access to it. But because of how limited the access was, I didn't feel like it would be representative of the product. So we're gonna hang tight on it a little bit. But yeah, we will do one on Bless Unleashed for you. But overall, few games are on my radar. Air, Ascent Infinite Realm, also on my radar. Troy, I think it's on yours too. Jason, you couldn't care less.
No, that's the one I actually kind of care about.
Oh, because it has an airship.
The other two, not as much.
Lost Ark and Torchlight Frontiers. Well, you can play Torchlight Frontiers now. At the moment, those are what I can remember, but I stopped too hype after Bless Online. I'm just curious to try them out. Fair enough. Jason.
Joshua Knight says, question of the week, I'm pretty much done with free-to-play MMOs. I do play Smite, though. I assume by MMOs then he was meaning RPGs, but because Smite is... I'd absolutely love for Path of Exile to come to Switch. After how well Diablo 3 has done, I could see huge potential to bring Path of Exile to Switch.
I don't see a world in which that doesn't come to the Switch, right?
I've got Chris Wilson on my Skype. I'm just going to see if I can get an answer from him by...
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's something he'll just disclose to you right away. Not a problem. We don't have any inside knowledge on it coming to the Switch or anything, but I fail to see a world where it doesn't at some point. Troy.
Terpa question of the week. I've been waiting for it for a decade. I can wait another one. Mr. Byrne, Phantasy Star Online 2, Western release.
Yes, my hero.
Oh, God, never going to happen.
He, she, choose your pronoun of choice, Terpa. You are on my team. Phantasy Star Online 2. Hey, I don't think it's ever going to happen either. That's why I play it with the English translations. Huge shout out to the community team that does those translation patches, and I suggest you do the same too. The hardest part about doing it, you're going to look at the instructions, you're going to go, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. It's really, really easy. The hardest part, Troy, you're not going to believe this, is the fucking CAPTCHA to try and actually get your account created on Sega of Japan's website. Because you have to, pull up a Japanese keyboard and try and figure out through the CAPTCHA, looking at the characters on the keyboard, on one of those CAPTCHAs where the characters are spaced out and there's like lines going through them. So you're like, is that line part of the line going through them? Or is that a line on the character? It's the CAPTCHA boss. That is the hardest part about getting Phantasy Star Online 2 as somebody in the United States. Misfit Rain says, the new Lord of the Rings MMO. I totally forgot about this one again.
Oh, yeah.
The new Lord of the Rings MMO would be my most eagerly awaited game, although I have heard there are rumors that EverQuest Next might be in the works again, so that would be a close second. I haven't heard those rumors. I've heard Daybreak wants to do something with the EverQuest IP rumors, but not specifically about Next.
I think that game is dead.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath. Speaking of the Lord of the Rings one, though, that we kind of forgot about, what about the Magic the Gathering MMORPG from Perfect World, which I emailed them 2 weeks ago just to say, hey, is this still in development? Is this a thing? I haven't received anything from you, haven't heard any updates. And normally, Perfect World's PR team, and I won't divulge their names here because I don't want you going and pinging them on Twitter or anything. They're great people to work with. Say what you will about PWE as a company and its pay-to-win stuff. Their PR team is really top-notch. We have a great relationship with them, and they really keep us on the ball. And they've never been one of those companies to give us a hard time when we're critical of them too. They understand that this is a give and a take. We're going to criticize when we feel we need to criticize. They're just top-notch people, and they keep us informed so well that not hearing anything, I thought the game was dead, Jason. I was like, it's been so long, this has got to be dead. And they said, nope, sure enough, still a thing, just didn't have any news. They're working, they'll keep us posted, so still in the works.
Amazon Game Studios has its couple of things still going too. I guess New World they've been actually doing testing on, so that might be something we hear about by the end of the year. So.
Yeah, I can't talk a lot about it, but it's not my kind of thing. Go ahead, Jason.
First of all, I'd like to say I did get a response from Chris. So breaking news, he says, I'd love to bring it to Switch one day, but we haven't even started that project in any way.
Oh my God, he actually answered it direct. The only reason he could was because it hadn't gone anywhere yet.
That's exactly right. Yeah,
if they even had one email, he would have been like, I don't know.
Also, the reason he answered is because it's like almost 6 o'clock for us, and he's in New Zealand, so it's probably still early in the morning for him. So.
Right.
All right, Mert Dragon says, I personally cannot wait for Lost Ark to come to the West. I've been watching its progress for a long time now, and every time I see something new about it, I get that much more excited. Well, good for you, Mert Dragon. Good for you.
Korean beta kicking off. Do we have a date on that? I don't remember off the top of my head. I know we wrote it up, but I don't remember. Korean beta underway or getting ready to start. Troy, are you looking forward to Lost Ark at all?
It's not really been on my radar at this point, to be honest with you. I haven't paid any attention to it at all, hardly.
Zach loved it. Zach played on the Korean servers, did a little kind of first looky type video for us. Absolutely loved it. So we'll keep it. So many people said this, in fact, that it is our question of the week. What is your opinion on Lost Ark? Are you still excited? Were you never excited? Could you not care less? Is it the game you're waiting for? Tell us your thoughts on Lost Ark and why or why not. While you're there, make sure you put your dub-bomb or A-bomb in the comments below. Dub-bomb for something good, A-bomb for something bad, or your question for the panel, and we'll be sure to put it on next week's show. Until then, Troy, where can everybody find you?
Lost Ark. Is it the next Bless Online?
Shut up. It's totally
On Twitter,
different.
at New
No, not even close. Go ahead, Jason.
Twitter at Winter Informal, streaming at twitch.tv/Jason Winter.
It's just me with a bunch of sour dudes on this show. I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there on Twitter at magicman1. But more importantly, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so you can get all the latest news, videos, first looks, free-to-play casts, free-to-play weeklies, giveaways, interviews, and more. Until next time, stay safe. See you on the servers.